UFC Fight Night, Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott takes place this weekend, and I'm going to give you my full picks and predictions for the full fight card, so let's get into it. First fight of the night, we have Jamie Serja versus John Yanis. Now, John Yanis, he's pretty well rounded. He's good in everything, good striking. He does have a hole in his game though, and that's his wrestling. Or more specifically, his takedown defense. His takedown defense is kind of lacking, and he's going up against Jamie. Now, Jamie is very well rounded, including the wrestling, and I think that's how Jamie's gonna, and I think that's what Jamie's gonna use to win this fight. Jamie should look at the tape and see that Giannis' hole is his grappling, and he should take advantage of that, taking him down and looking for a finish. Now, I don't know if he does get the finish, so I am going to lean towards Jamie going to decision, but I do lean him to win this fight. So give me Jamie Serja to win this fight via decision. Next up, we've got John Castaneda versus Mark Vologden. So everyone knows Mark Vologden for his Contender Series fight where, he gave out a big showing. Even though he lost, he got signed. But, he had heart, never gave up on himself, and he's going up against John Castaneda. Now, John Castaneda is very good, very well-rounded, and yeah, Mark has heart, like I mentioned, but I think that John's going to be too much. John has the length. Mark Vologden is just too small. Against John Castaneda. John Castaneda is 5'6". Mark Vologden is 5'3". The Oompa Loompa. So I think this is an easy dub for John Castaneda. He should be able to, pick his shots from distance and just outstrike Mark. And, we saw that Mark got pieced up in his Contender Series fight, the one he lost. And, there should be more of the same. Castaneda should be able, to do that. But if it does get tricky on the feet, Castaneda can always take down Vologden to the ground, and he should be able to do what he does best there. So give me John Castaneda to win this. I'm gonna, another decision, just because Mark Vologden does have heart. He's not gonna give up on himself. He's gonna eat. And, we saw that, like I said, in Contender. So, yeah, I got John Castaneda to win via decision. Next up, we've got J.J. Aldridge versus Jamie Lynn Horth. Now, I do think that this is a very, very easy fight to predict. I got Jamie Lynn Horth to win, and that's mainly due to her height advantage and her length advantage, because she's very technical. She knows how to use her length. And J.J. Aldridge, a lot of people were high on her when she came into the scene, but she hasn't really developed. She's kind of garbage, to be honest. And Jamie Lynn Horth, she's not going to be a top 15, top 10 fighter. But, she's obviously far superior than J.J. Aldridge. So I got to go with Jamie Lynn Horth to win. And I said this last week, and I might bite my tongue, but I'm going to go with Jamie Lynn Horth to win via decision. But we've seen a lot of the women fights end via KO, submission. So don't be surprised if something like that happens in this fight. But I'm going to play it safe by saying that she wins via decision. Next up, we've got Melissa Croden versus Dara Zelnikova. I don't know. I'm not Russian. So, yeah, I got Melissa Croden to win just because Melissa Croden, more strength, the more crude fighter, if you guys know what I mean. And, yeah, I think that she's just going to, not ragdoll, but she's going to be able to do whatever to Daria. I think that Daria is just not aggressive enough, not going to be able to compete strength-wise against Melissa Croden, and I think Melissa Croden's going to be able to just control her, take her down, and just kind of cruise to a decision. I think that's the game plan with Melissa Croden. I don't think she's going to want to keep this fight on the feet, because Daria does have relatively good striking. But if Daria is able to stuff the takedowns and keep the fight on the feet, I do favor Daria. But I'm going to go with Melissa Croden to win this fight. I think she should be able to get the takedowns, just because I feel like she has more strength, more muscle on her to kind of bully Daria. So give me Melissa Croton to win. Again, another female fight, but I'm going to go with her to win via decision. Next up, we've got another stint in the UFC in Tanner Boser versus Gökhan Saraykum. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not Turkish. So, yeah, Tanner Boser, kind of out of his prime, got re-signed. Like I said, second stint in the UFC. But, man, it's heavyweight. Yes, your career can, last a lot longer in heavyweight in the higher weight classes. But this guy was always mid, and I know a lot of people use that term a lot, but this guy was like the definition of mid. He was okay in everything, but not the best. Kind of like a journeyman in the heavyweight division. And, he's a lot older now, and he's going up against Gökhan, who has, scary knockout power, who's very aggressive, and I think this is like an easy fight for Gökhan to win. I don't know why they would sign Tanner Boser. This is like sending him to his funeral. So yeah, I think this is another easy pick. I got Gökhan to win, and I got him to win via KO. I'm gonna say round 2. I think that Tanner Boser is gonna try to be a little, play it safe in round 1, try to get some reads, but I think that Gökhan's just gonna take over in round 2 and get a finish maybe at the 2:30 mark, around there, mid round 2. So yeah, I got Gökhan Saraykum to win in round 2 via KO. Next up, we got Julian LeBlanc versus Robert Valentin. Now, I didn't say this before, but we got two silhouettes. I don't know, man. I keep saying this. The UFC, $7.7 billion, they just got $7.7 billion, and they can't be bothered to put pictures of the guys that are going to fight this weekend. Insane. I was going to do a video, man, about how the UFC's kind of been lacking ever since they signed with Paramount, but we might get that in the works. But let's just break down this fight. So yeah, I got Robert Valentin to win this fight. I think that, Robert Valentin's reminds me of a lot like Johnny Walker. This guy's a wild man. He's gonna look for the KO, and he's just unpredictable, very unpredictable. And Julian LeBlanc is he's okay everywhere, but he's lacking strength. He's lacking physicality, lacking speed. And Robert Valentin is the complete opposite. This guy has strength, has power, is very aggressive, and is very fast. He's looking to KO you. The only hole that we've seen is his grappling. But I think he should be able to defend the grappling, just because he did get embarrassingly outworked against Taurus Finney. Just got wrestled to oblivion like a Dagestani. So I think he should be able to defend the takedowns. He should work on them. And like I said, he's more physical than LeBlanc, so he should be able to defend the takedowns and just smash up LeBlanc. So I got Robert Valentin to win via KO, and I think he should be able to get it done late round 2, early round 3. But yeah, I do have him winning via KO. Let's just say early round 3. I think that he's just going to be way too much for LeBlanc. Next up, we've got Dennis Bazooka. I don't know how else to pronounce that, against Mauricio Barbosa. Now, Dennis Bazooka, this guy's a bum, man. This fight card, 1 out of 10 is like a 4.3. It's okay. You know who's gonna win, and it's the same with this fight. Dennis Bazooka, like I said, is a bum, not good. And he's going up against Mauricio Barbosa, who's coming from the Contender as well. And this guy's actually good. Has, very good striking, very aggressive, and is looking for the finish. That's surprising for the featherweight division. A lot of people are very technical, very fast. They know what they're doing. But Dennis Bazooka, I don't even know how this guy's still signed. So yeah, I got Mauricio Barbosa to win. I do think he's going to get a finish, man. I think he's going to get a finish, and I think I'm going to call a submission late round 2, early round 3, just because I think he's going to try to play it safe. You know what? Whole switcheroo. I'm going to say KO. Yeah, because I don't think he's because his striking is superior than obviously Barbosa, or I keep saying Barbosa, than Bazooka. I think that Barbosa's striking is far superior than Bazooka, and yeah, I mean, I don't see why he would take this on the feet, take this to the ground. So yeah, I'm gonna switch my pick. I think that he's gonna get a KO. Let's just say mid round two. I think he's gonna get a KO in mid round two. Like I said, Dennis Bazooka just trashed. I don't know how he's still signed, and I think he's gonna get cut after this fight. Next up, opening up the main card, we've got Thiago Moises versus Gage Young. Now, Thiago Moises, he's really good, or was really good. He's kind of, yes, he's 32 years old, but he's kind of washed. He has a lot of miles. He has a lot of miles on him. If you guys know what I mean, he got signed relatively young. He's kind of from the age of like when you would spar, you would just actually get beat up. You would actually have like a fist fight in the gym. Now, everyone doesn't spar like that. So, he's had professional fights and he's had fights in the gym. So very, very worn and torn. And he's going up against Gage Young. Now, Gage Young is young in his career. You guys see what I did there? But yeah, he's relatively young. Very inexperienced, but I do favor him just because, like I said, he's a younger fighter. And Thiago Santos, I don't know, man. Like I said, he's 32. He should be in his prime, but he hasn't been looking like that. And Gage Young, he's got that dog in him. He's going to be the aggressor in this fight, and I just favor him just because he is the younger fighter. So give me Gage Young to win. I don't think this fight ends in a finish, so I am going to pick Gage Young to win via decision. But this fight's kind of tough to predict just because, yes, Thiago Santos does have the experience. Overall, he is a more well-rounded fighter. I just don't think he has enough in the tank, I just think that he's at the tail end of his career. So give me Gage Young to win via decision. Moving up into the card, we've got Jasmine Jastavidius versus Karine Silva. Now, Jasmine Jastavidius, I got her to win via decision, and that's just because of her wrestling. She's a very aggressive wrestler, kind of a trained wrestler, kind of a Dagestani. But the only good thing about her is that she does kind of look for finishes. She looks for submissions, looks for ground and pound, and that can be a hole in Karine Silva. We've seen Karine Silva get taken down and controlled, and like I said, that's a problem. You can't have that hole against Jasmine. Jasmine is looking to take you down. She can strike a little bit, but that's not really her forte. She's not looking to strike. And if she does strike, she's going to be in trouble because Karine Silva has far better striking than Jasmine. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's the game plan at all. I think that Jasmine's going to look for those takedowns, going to be able to take down Karine, and just control her. I don't think there's going to be a finish in this fight. But if there ever was a finish on this fight, in a WMMA fight, it's going to be this one. And I would lean towards submission. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say Jasmine is going to win via decision, just to be safe. Like I said, most WMMA fights end via decision. So I'm going to say that for this one, but don't be surprised if this fight does end in a finish. So yeah, like I said, Jasmine via decision. Next up, we've got Mandel Nalo versus Jai Herbert. Now, Jai Herbert's been with the UFC for the longest. He had a beautiful record before he got into the UFC with a whole bunch of KOs, but we haven't really seen that version of Jai Herbert in the UFC. Yeah, he got that rock/stun against Ilia Topuria, but I mean, what happened in that fight? At the end of the day, Jai Herbert got KO'd himself. So, not really been performing the best ever since he signed with the organization. Kind of been like a journeyman for the most part. And he's going up against Mandel Nalo. Now, this guy's another guy coming out of the Now, this guy's coming from the Contender. A lot of this card has UFC debuts and UFC Contender Series guys. I think like 6 fights have guys like this, and this is another. Now, Mandel Nalo is really good, very aggressive, good on the feet, and I think that this fight's going to be on the feet for the most part. And I have to side with Mandel. I think Mandel's going to be able to piece up Jai Herbert. Now, Jai Herbert, we've never seen him really look for takedowns, and I don't think he's going to be looking for takedowns. I think he's going to be wanting to strike with Mendel, and I think that's a big problem for him. Just because, like I said, Mendel's really has really crisp kickboxing and knows how to use his length. And I mean, yeah, I mean, not really much to break down. Jai Herbert kind of washed at the tail end of his career, journeyman. And Mendel Nalo kind of coming into the UFC in a heater after his Contender Series win. And yeah, I think that he should be able to get it done fairly easily. So yeah, I think that he should be able to win via decision, but I'm going to be kind of ballsy and say he gets a KO. I think that Jai Herbert's just going to have an opening, make a mistake, and Nalo's going to be able to capitalize. So give me Mandel to win via KO. I'm going to say late round 3, maybe mid round 3. But yeah, Mandel via KO. Next up, we've got Kyler. Oh, we got the co-main event of the evening, guys. We have Kyler Phillips versus Charles Jourdain. Now, I've seen a lot of people pick Charles Jourdain to win this fight, and you can't really blame him. You know, he's really good, has nasty flying knees, kind of an enigma. You know, you never know what this guy's gonna come in. Kind of technical at the same time. Just funky dude. And Kyler Phillips, this guy's gonna be the aggressor. Technical, and yeah, I mean, the only bad thing I would say that Kyler Phillips has is kind of his ground game, I would say. But Charles Jourdain's not really looking to, grapple with you. If anything, Kyler Phillips is going to look to grapple. But that's a problem because Charles Jourdain has a nasty guillotine. Yes, and that's another thing. Charles Jourdain's grappling or takedown defense isn't all there, that's for sure. His takedown defense is a big hole in his game. But like I said, he has a nasty guillotine. Kind of reminds me of Said Nurmagomedov's guillotine, Said has a lot of finishes via guillotine, and that's the same thing with Charles Johnson. His guillotine's pretty nasty. So I highly doubt that Kyler Phillips is going to look for takedowns, but if he does, Charles Jourdain has that guillotine in his back pocket. But like I said, this fight most likely is going to stay on the feet. And with all that being said, I'm leaning towards Kyler Phillips. I think Kyler Phillips has the cleaner striking, obviously the more technical, and I could trust him more. Charles Jourdain, man, we seen him kind of be hesitant, kind of, not really. He's never really gassed. He's just kind of questioned his skills. And Kyler Phillips never really done that. And we know that he's on the sauce. He's looked a lot. He kind of did what TJ Dillashaw did, with the EPO. Had kind of a questionable gas tank, and then out of nowhere had Merab's gas tank. So this guy's on the juice. We know that. And yeah, I mean, I got to go with Kyler Phillips. Like I said, his striking, in my opinion, is far superior than Charles Jourdain's. And he's a lot faster, a lot crisper, a lot more technical, and just a safer guy, the safer bet, in my opinion. So for those reasons, I'm going with Kyler Phillips. I will say that this fight most likely is going to go to decision just because both of these guys are very high level. So give me Kyler Phillips to win via decision. Next up, the main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. Now, it's sad to say Gilbert Burns, I think he's 39 years old, at the tail end of his career. But he's faced the Shark Tank of the welterweight division, fought the best of the best, fought for the belt, obviously lost. And Mike Malott, the newcomer, we know what the UFC is trying to do, especially in Canada, They want Mike Malott to win against a very big name in Gilbert Burns. And yeah, I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to feed Mike Malott. And I think that Gilbert Burns is going to reign on the UFC's parade. Now, I've seen a lot of people pick Mike Malott, and I can't really blame him. He's kind of on a heater. The younger fighter, obviously, but I can't pick him. I just can't pick him just because we got to look at the competition that Mike Malott has faced and lost against, more specifically against Neil Magny. Now, if you guys remember, he was winning that fight until he wasn't. Come round 3, he kind of gassed and gave that fight away to Neil Magny, and Neil Magny got the ground and pound finish on him and late finish. And yeah, he got that dub, and I'll never forget that fight. Whenever Mike Malott, comes in mind, or is gonna face somebody, that fight always comes to my mind. So I don't know how you can give up a win like that. That's crazy to me. And like I said, the competition that Mike Malott has faced kind of bummy. They kind of been just feeding him, just people that don't belong. And Gilbert Burns has faced killers in the welterweight division. Just off the top of my head, he's faced obviously Kamaru Usman, JDM. Let's see here. Who else? You guys know what I mean, though. He's fought really tough opponents, really tough guys. And in that JDM fight, he was winning that fight. Obviously, he got hit with that knee, got finished. But, he got seven takedowns in that fight. Kind of relies on his takedown offense, but he's not afraid to slug it out on the feet. And against Mike Malott, I think that Mike Malott's got that quitter in him. Like I said, we've seen him kind of quit against Neil Magny, and I think that's going to be kind of the same. Mike Malott hasn't faced the shark tank that Gilbert Burns has, and we got to remember, this is a 5-round fight. If Mike Malott gassed in a 3-rounder against Neil Magny, what is he going to do in a round 5? Against a guy that's always going to bring the heat, going to bring the aggression, never let off the gas tank. So for all those reasons, I'm leaning towards Gilbert Burns. Yes, he's the older fighter, but he's got that experience. He's a lot more well-rounded, and I think I fed my case enough to lean towards Gilbert Burns. I think that he's going to be able to get this done. I think he's going to be able to get a finish in Mike Malott. I think he's going to be able to gas out Mike Malott later in the rounds and, like I said, get a finish. So yeah, I think he's going to be able to get a sub. I'm gonna say late round 4, maybe early round 5. So yeah, I got Gilbert Burns via submission. Round 4, round 5. And yeah, boys, those were my picks and predictions for the full fight card. UFC Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, if you guys disagree, agree, or think some of my picks are just crazy. And yeah, until next time.